Hello, welcome, Jared Hood. Still just gonna do these videos. Don't have a name for them yet. I guess I should start working on that. Just recapping so far football, but I'll recap more coming in the future because football's over. The Super Bowl was last weekend, yesterday, if you're watching currently. But hopefully, if you are watching at any point, thank you. But what a game! I mean, we knew the hype going into it was mini goat versus goat, right? So it was one of the most hyped up Super Bowls that I can remember, for a good reason. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is playing the best football I've ever seen this to this point in anyone's career, and Tom Brady is the best football player of all time, right? So the greatest winner maybe in American sports. I mean, when you talk about what this probably did for him, Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, he was already in those names. He was already going to be mentioned with them, hundreds of years from now. Now he is Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan. Like this, you can argue he's the greatest American team athlete of all time. It's hard to say, Tiger Woods, Ali, Serena, they were so dominant that they are, Serena still. I mean, she's going right now. But they're so dominant in their individual sports. It's really hard to compare any team sports with them. Like Belichick and Nick Saban, what they've been doing on the coaching level of football, in their respective college and NFL. Popovich, and you can go on with other NBA coaches, Phil Jackson, whatnot. But just Tom Brady is in a lore now of his own, and he's been for a while. But now I just mean like historically greatest, and I'm not talking like what we always say, code. I'm talking like 500 years from now in the textbook type thing. It's hard. I don't even know how to place it. So I'm sorry I didn't do that part well. But moving on, if you really want to just talk about what us, this current time frame, how we look at him as the GOAT, I mean, how else can, it doesn't matter what Patrick Mahomes does from here on out. The gauntlet of, and I get it, you could put the Washington game in there, but the gauntlet of Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes, I mean, that is forever. We're never going to get Jordan versus LeBron. We're never going to get them in an actual matchup, right? I mean, he's beaten Peyton over and over. Eli had him, I guess. If you want to really do that. My guy Nick Foles had him. If you really want to do that, but this current run. I used to, I was going back trying to think of the other current runs. Like Joe Flacco had that amazing run, but it wasn't necessarily against the gauntlet of quarterbacks. Beating Manning was huge that year, but I just that is, and that's credit to Todd Bowles because it wasn't Tom Brady versus them. I know I was just drooling over the historical aspect of that part of it, with how great those players are and how great he is, and he is the dragon. He's slaying all the other dragons, but he is the dragon. Like they all want to slay him, but he just can't do it. But it's credit to Todd Bowles. 4 touchdowns in those 3 games from those 3 guys, 6 interceptions. I mean, I talked about Leslie Frazier, of the Bills. I thought it was weird he didn't get an opportunity to interview for some coaching jobs. Todd Bowles. I mean, what? Like that is just what he did against Patrick Mahomes, and I get it. I totally understand that. Fisher being out, and I said perfect storm. I mean, that's what we talked about in the last video. I said it. This is the reason I picked the Bucks is because it was the perfect storm. I will tell you that if you gave me the outcome of Tampa Bay in a blowout, that would have probably been the only way I was like, nah. Nope, not happening. I would have definitely been like, yeah, I could see Kansas City doing what they did in the first half against Tampa the first time again. I could definitely see Kansas City in a close one again. And I was like, I could definitely see Tampa Bay in a close one again. But if you would have told me before that game started that Patrick Mahomes would lose by 2 scores, I would have thought, nah, this isn't the day that happens. I just didn't feel like that was it. But that offensive line situation ended up being way worse, even more than I mean, I said that was the reason I was picking the Bucks because I thought that that's where they found an edge. But they didn't find an edge. That was it. That was the difference of the Bucks defense and Kansas City's offense. Tyreek Hill never got a chance to get downfield, like we talked about. Why Patrick Mahomes holds on to the ball so long. Travis Kelce, yeah, he had over 100 yards, but dropped a couple passes, and he never broke off for the big play. I think the difference was the Chiefs' defense was not disciplined. You know, it was not near as disciplined as the Bucks' defense. The Bucks' defense, if you got a catch, they took you down. They didn't let you run off for a little bit. Where even on the well, let's get into the game itself. So early on, it was a couple 3-and-outs. Brady didn't look great, right? Like he had an overthrow. They had a couple runs. They definitely put a couple runs off that looked a little impressive. But then Patrick Mahomes only had like one completion in the first 7 or 8 passes. It was a little 3-yard dump to Tyreek Hill, like the first pass of the game, if I'm not mistaken. They got 3 points early because they were able to run the ball a little bit. But that play where they ended up having to kick the field goal to go up 3-0 Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes, um, um, he had a free play. It was an offsides where he runs around in a circle like he did all night. But he came back up and he got towards the line of scrimmage and he threw it. And when I say he threw it like I'm facing you right now, he threw it like this while I'm facing you right now. He was not. It was just. He put it right on Tyreek Hill's hands. Now it was a little behind. It hit Tyreek Hill, I think, close to the back of the helmet when it went through his hands. But it would have been a tough catch for sure. But the point is like that is just athleticism. The quarterback position has never been played like that. That it was, but unfortunately, the reason he had to do that is because they couldn't block. I mean, he was running for his life on that play, and that was obviously the story all night. So they go up 3-0 though. They end up getting 3 points out of that drive, and then a couple runs early in the first couple drives for Tampa where they ended up having to punt ends up being big because the third drive where they ended up getting points, um, they broke off a couple of big runs, and that opened up a Cameron Brate screen. And then after the Cameron Brate screen, all they basically did was run a motion from a slot receiver. They took him across. It left one guy over there with Gronk, and then it left it left a cornerback on a wide receiver, and it left a linebacker with Gronk. And all they did was basically play action to the opposite side. Gronk slips out. Boom, and he was 1-on-1, and he's too big, he's too quick, and they did not use him in the offensive game all year, right? So I thought that was something that they did in the playoffs really well with Fournette, where they didn't use him necessarily. They used him, but not like they should throughout the season. Because in the playoffs, when they got to the playoffs, he became a dominant force, and they used him the way they should. I thought the Super Bowl they used Gronk the way that. I mean, if you're getting prime Gronk, that's what you would want to use him like. All those catches, he was still blocking because that's what he did all year. I mean, he was the better blocker of him and Cameron Brate. And Cameron Brate can catch the ball pretty well. But Gronk slipping out, he's just too big, too fast, and touchdown Gronk's play. Another big thing, obviously, Mahomes running for his life again. Brady gets the ball back. They go the whole way down the field. They hit Mike Evans on a really nice, like 30-yard pass to get themselves in territory there. To get to the 1 yard line, though, I did not like running the ball twice without. Like I get from the 2 yard line, I wouldn't have did it with Brady, but you didn't do it with Fournette then from the goal line. If you're going to turn around and hand the ball off on the 4th and goal, which I'm okay with going for it on 4th and goal because your defense played so well to that point that all right, so you give them the ball at the 1 yard line. They got to go 99 yards. They haven't been able to do anything so far, really. So I understood going for it. Brady's Brady. I mean, in that position, he could just go up the middle. He always does, and he gets it. My other thing was, you didn't turn around and hand it off to Fournette. I was really interested about that. They didn't get the touchdown there. They got Kansas City got a 15-yard pass then to get themselves outside of the one, have to punt the ball away, and then everything kind of breaks down here, right? So it's still 7-3, but Brady throws a bad pass that gets tipped, intercepted, but holding, it was, I don't love to see that holding, but okay. If you're going to call it, you're going to call it. Call it all game. Defensive holding. And then you go a little further. The fourth down, the fourth and like 4.5, where they kick the field goal. Ends up getting a guy. The dude lined up a whole yard off sides. I mean, you can't do that. It gives them a first down. The next play was Gronk, where he went. It was like a streak, and then when he got to the end zone, again, the athleticism, the quickness, he made like a really good juke move. It got the, I think it was a safety or a cornerback off him, and when that guy kind of fell off him, he's wide open. So when he turned around, the ball was coming to him. Even if that guy would have been able to come back and cover him, Gronk had him boxed out, and he's Gronk, and so touchdown. 14-3. All right. So now I'm thinking, well, all right. So Chiefs haven't been able to do a whole lot, but I think that they're going to be able to get some stuff going. They didn't run draws the way I thought they should. They didn't do everything, screens and everything I thought the way they were going to. But we might have company. You're going to come sit up here, bub?
Where's Baba? Hey, Baba.
So after... You coming up? So after the Gronk touchdown, Chiefs still not getting everything, but they get the ball down the field a little bit. They end up kicking a field goal. If the field goal before, right, ends up... Here, you coming up here? You want to say hello to everybody? Say hi. We're talking about the Super Bowl yesterday. Remember watching the Super Bowl last night? So they get the field goal. But my biggest thing is that was such a swing, right? Because I was thinking at the time if they could get some stuff going one way or the other, you end up maybe making it a close game. So if you hold the Tampa Bay to that field goal and you make it 10-3 and then you're able to maybe score a touchdown, now it's 10-10 instead of now it's 14-6. Right now we're talking, and that's just a huge swing in and of itself. In a Super Bowl, I was like, all right, that's interesting, but there was still plenty of game left because we've seen Kansas City. I mean, I wasn't counting them out. There's no way to count them out at that point. Then the next drive happens where the Bucs have the ball. They get to a 3rd and 3, and Kansas City calls a timeout. The next play, Gronk, 3 or 4 yards. The next play is a pass interference the whole way down the field on Mike Evans. The play after, if I'm not mistaken, is a pass interference in the end zone. Again, maybe some ticky-tack stuff going on there, but if it's your team, I think you're going to be hoping that they call it. So, hard argument, back and forth on that. Next thing you know, they're on the 1-yard line again. AB with just an incredible juke. What a juke. I mean, athleticism, and that's uncoverable at that point. It doesn't matter if you're on him. It doesn't matter if you're back from him. There's nothing you can do to stop that kind of just raw talent. Brady puts the ball on the money. Now it's 21-6 at half, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to give up on Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but they got to do something quick. Weekend comes out and does his thing. Started off slow, finished strong, I thought. You get to the second half. They get the whole way down the field. Have to kick a field goal. From there, the next drive, huge play down the field where 2 linebackers basically faced the wrong direction. Gronk splits them. Tyrann Mathieu was screaming at them like one of you two had it. I know one of those two had to have him. There's no way that that was supposed to happen. He gets way downfield now. The next play, Fournette runs off like 30, 40, or 35, 25-yard run, touchdown. Another field goal ends up making it 31-9. A couple bad interceptions that weren't necessarily Mahomes' fault. That play, I mean, again, we talked about the swirling and the running. Don't push that. We were talking about this play, like when he's running around in the pocket, and he was just running in circles and running for his life. What are you going to do? He had that play where he did that, and then he actually was falling vertical, and he ends up hitting the backup running back, Williams, right in the hands, and it bounces off the face mask at the 1-yard line, falls to the ground. That was 4th down. That was just a sum up of what Patrick Mahomes was going through, where he was just doing everything he possibly could, and it just wasn't happening. That happens. That's part of it. I watched Carson Wentz happen a bunch of those games this year, and then after so long, it ended up breaking his psyche, and he ended up not being able to read a football field. But that's a different conversation for a different day. Maybe I'll have to have a video about that here soon. But Look, I haven't. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I think the future's bright for him. Clearly, I think you're out of your mind if you don't. And with Tom Brady, the special thing about what happened with him is you go from last year to this year, the off season. He went to Tampa Bay. I mean, it's like one of those. They had everything in place for him. A good defense. You can't talk about um, Shaq Barrett and Devin White, and you could go on. Their linebacking core was so good. Their defensive line, Vita Vea, um, he played a great Super Bowl. JPP, I mean, the master of the screens, and even in that game, he broke up a big screen pretty early. And everything with his hand and the firework incident and whatnot, what he came back from, and how well he's played in his career with the Buccaneers. And you can go on. You can go on and on with their defensive line. Winfield, I mean, throwing the deuces up at Tyreek Hill. One of my favorite moments of the whole game. I'm here for that because Tyreek Hill, I forgot about him doing the backflip. He did that right in front of Winfield last time they played, and he threw the deuces up to him. So I think that was more than worth the 15-yard penalty. And, if you know me, Tyreek Hill's off the field history is I'm never a huge fan of him. So I'm always here for that kind of stuff. He's an amazing player, and I understand that. But and you could just, I mean, you can go on and on with their defense. Then you go to the offense side of the ball. Mike Evans is there. Their offensive line played incredibly well. Tom Brady, obviously, really go with protections and whatnot. Godwin, great. I mean, you can go on and on. Bringing Gronk back. Fournette, he could have been the MVP of the game, him or Gronk. And Brady was, obviously. But Fournette was a huge piece in the playoffs. Ronald Jones overall all season. So if you have it, Brady came and he did, and that was just he was there. He got you to the next level, to the promised land. You were 8-8 last year. Excuse me. And it's all the funny stuff of him walking in the wrong house looking for Byron Leftwich, or going to that high school. Remember, they were taking pictures of him in the off season while he was trying to work out with his new teammates, and it was such a big deal because it was COVID and he was breaking rules and protocols and all that kind of stuff. And he's here. It was all worth it. So, what an amazing year. Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich. I talked about Todd Bowles a little bit there, but you can't say enough about their coaching staff the whole way up and down. You can't say enough about what TB12 did. So, awesome football season. I was definitely skeptical. I didn't know if they were going to be able to get every football game in this year. Incredible they did. Unfortunately, the Eagles didn't turn out too well, but I'm sure I'll have a video coming up in the future about their situation because it sounds like things might be moving a little fast here. We'll see. But congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, you heard him. He said they're coming back. So I guess we will see moving forward. But I think the guys on the other side will have something to say about that. So thank you for watching.